Welcome to the OLV Daily Reflection for Wednesday, September 28th. Today, the Universal Church celebrates two apostles, Saint Simon and Saint Jude. There's little known about these two men, but what is most important about them is that Jesus chose them from among those disciples who were closest to him to serve as one of the 12 apostles. The gospel chosen for today's Mass acknowledges this reality. This reading comes from the 6th chapter of St. Luke's Gospel. It reads, Jesus went up the mountain to pray, and he spent the night in prayer to God. When day came, he called his disciples to himself, and from them he chose 12, whom he also named apostles. Simon, whom he named Peter, and his brother Andrew, James, John, Philip, Bartholomew, Matthew, Thomas, James the son of Alphaeus, Simon who is called a zealot, and Judas the son of James, and Judas Iscariot, who became a traitor. Today the church acknowledges Saint Simon and Saint Jude, but if we were to look at all the apostles, all of these 12 who are chosen from among those disciples closest to Christ, I believe we can say the following with absolute certainty. These 12 men had no idea that one day they would be chosen by Christ for a special role of being his representatives to the world. And we can make this assertion because we know that Jesus was not known to them except later on in their lives. And furthermore, we heard about the call of several of these apostles. They literally were picked out by Christ after an encounter. So if they did not know they were going to be called to this role as apostles, we also know that they had to trust Jesus and truly trust that God was working through Jesus, and that they, even though they were fishermen, tax collectors, and people that were not of high stature, that if we trust, we can fulfill this role. If we truly have the faith, we can do what Jesus asks of us. And it's the witness of the apostles that gives us great hope when it comes to our own vocations. As I've talked about before in the daily reflections, each of us has a unique vocation in our life, meaning that we're called to a specific state of life where we serve God and serve others. And that word vocation actually comes from the Latin verb vocare, which means to call or to name. So what the apostles experienced in their own call is to be what we experience in our own lives. God calls us to our vocation. And for many people listening, maybe you're more advanced in years and you don't think that you have to wrestle with your vocation any longer. But I can tell you that yes, when we're young, we have to make a specific choice between single life, married life, religious life, and holy orders. But even after we make that choice, every day we still have to listen to the call that Christ is giving to us in our lives. So we discern at the beginning of our life, but also we keep discerning on how to live out that vocation. And the apostles knew this as well, because they probably did not know that, as we heard in the gospel today when they were named, that one day they would also die for Christ, that they would suffer greatly for the name of Christ. And maybe that would change their decision. Who knows? But they continued to discern, they continued to live, and they accepted what was in store for them as they served God and served others. So Saint Simon, Saint Jude, all the apostles, give us the opportunity to just reflect upon our own vocation and challenging us to make sure that we are not only choosing the right vocation for our lives, but also dedicating our lives day after day after day to discern how we fulfill that vocation and where God is calling us to serve Him and to serve others. Saint Simon, Saint Jude, and Our Lady of Victory, pray for us.